there, guys. My name is Jami Jo, and you have found Jami Jo Sells Wax here on YouTube. I am a Scentsy consultant, and I've been working with the company for over 16 years. Now, normally on this YouTube channel, I am sharing product releases. Sometimes I'll do a review of a fragrance. Every once in a while, I will do a training video for other Scentsy consultants. Today is a little bit different. We're just going to talk about what makes Scentsy so much better than the other wax melts on the market and how Scentsy works to create a great, strong, long-lasting fragrance. First of all, let's talk about what exactly is a Scentsy bar. If you're not familiar with Scentsy, we started out as a company that sold warmers and wax. Now, we've branched out into a lot of different fragrance things at this point, but 20 years ago, when Scentsy first got started, it was just the warmers and wax. So you see a couple different styles of warmers behind me. This is a more traditional one right here. That one uses a light bulb to melt the wax in the top dish. This one right here doesn't have a light bulb, but it has a warming plate underneath. So all of our warmers have some way of warming. That's why they're called warmers, friends. But then they all have a dish on the top. Many of those dishes are removable. Some of them are created to stay within the warmer. Regardless of any of those things, they all use Scentsy wax. So this is a Scentsy wax bar. We have our iconic shape here and 8 different cubes in the back of it. Now, Scentsy is different for a couple different reasons. We only use paraffin wax. Now let's talk about that paraffin wax and where you might have seen it in other places. If you go get a pedicure or a manicure and they are doing a wax dip on your hands or your feet, that is also paraffin wax. But did you know that when you buy some fruits and vegetables from the grocery store, many of those are sprayed with a paraffin wax. It makes them shiny and just makes them look better as they sit on the shelf. It also protects them from rotting as fast. So you have probably interacted with paraffin wax in several different ways throughout your life, but Scentsy uses paraffin wax for a couple very specific reasons. The first reason that they use paraffin wax is because of its scent loading ability. Now, candles and wax melts can be made of tons of different types of wax, but paraffin is the one that allows the most fragrance oils to be put into the wax. And that is one of the main reasons that we choose to use paraffin wax when creating these fragrances. So we can load up that wax with lots and lots of fragrance. Now, you might have seen in a Scentsy bar, if you open the container, that there might have been a little oil on the top. That sometimes can happen. That's because we are putting as much fragrance oil in that wax as is possible, and changes in temperature can change the consistency of the wax and make that oil seep up to the top of the wax, for lack of a better word. Another reason we choose paraffin wax is because of the melting point of paraffin wax. Paraffin wax melts at a much lower temperature. That means that we don't have to burn the wax. We can just use a light bulb or a low warming plate to melt that wax. And it's going to melt it a lot slower. That is going to keep the fragrance around for longer. And then the third reason is for the firmness of the wax. It doesn't get so hard like that crayon hard that's hard to get out of the dish. There are some big box stores that sell fragranced wax, and that is what I have seen from those. They get super hard when they're not melted and can sometimes have a really weird smell, like a crayon smell, and you're not going to find that with Scentsy. So that is the basis of why Scentsy uses paraffin wax and why Scentsy is so amazing. Now, if you watch any of my videos where I do a fragrance review, you will probably see me pop a bar upside down, pop it out and smell it like this. That is because, like I said earlier, we load this up with tons of fragrance oils. And it's best to store your Scentsy bars like this on a shelf in a cool, dark place. But those oils can sometimes seep to the bottom of the bar. So when I want to get a good, accurate sniff test, I'm going to pop it out and smell the bottom because the most oils are going to be there. So store them like this. That will prevent any leakage out of the container. If the temperature is changing wherever it's stored, that oil is going to stay in the wax instead of making a mess by dripping out this way or even dripping out this way, which can happen. Now let's talk about how Scentsy creates the perfect fragrance. We use what's called the scent pyramid to build the fragrance. Our bars of wax, did you know that they can have up to 60 different fragrance notes? 60, can you believe that? Now, most of them listed in the catalog are going to have anywhere from like 1 to 4 fragrance notes listed in the catalog, but that does not mean that those are the only fragrance notes in there. When I talk about the fragrance pyramid, that's because it's in the shape of a pyramid. You're going to have top notes, you're going to have middle notes, and you're going to have base notes. Now let's talk about those. I have a bar of Bonfire Beach right here. So when I smell it, the first thing I smell is a really sweet marshmallowy smell. That's my first impression, is that marshmallow sweetness of the Bonfire Beach. That is the top note. A top note of a fragrance is going to be the first thing that you notice, the thing that grabs your attention. That is the top note. Now, mid notes of Bonfire Beach. I'm going to give it a little bit longer sniff and really just take in that fragrance. Now, I am looking at the description in the catalog, and I know the mid notes in this are white flint and sandalwood. The mid notes of a fragrance are really the parts that make you fall in love with a fragrance. If you have a favorite, it's probably because of the mid notes that are in that, or the middle notes that are in that. Sometimes they're even called the heart notes of the fragrance. Now, let's talk about the third part, the base notes of the fragrance. These are the ones that even after a few days of having that Scentsy wax in your warmer, you walk into your home and that is what you smell. It's what has settled in on the fragrance. And with Bonfire Beach, it is that oceany feel, that sea salt air and that ocean spray. So the base notes are what you are going to smell long term. Top note, what catches your attention. Mid note, what you fall in love with and the heart and soul of the fragrance. And the base notes are those that hang around a little bit longer. Scentsy uses top notes, mid notes, and base notes when they are perfecting a fragrance that is going to be offered out to our customers. And that is why Scentsy is so amazing. Many of the other fragrances that you'll find at big box stores, it might be just a single note fragrance. And like I said, we are using, usually in any given fragrance, 30 to 60 different scent notes to custom design a fragrance that hopefully you love and that is going to last a really long time because of how we've designed the fragrance, but also because of the wax that we're using and how much fragrance oil we are adding to it. Guys, if you're looking for a Scentsy consultant to purchase your Scentsy products from, I would love to be that person for you. You can jump onto my website, which is JamiJoSellsWax.com, or you can shoot me a text to place your order at 918-888-9690. If you are considering becoming a Scentsy consultant yourself, I would be happy to have you on my team and mentor you along the way. You can join on my website at JamiJoSellsWax.com or shoot me a text if you have any questions or if you're just ready to jump in and get started. I'd be happy to help you do that. Guys, my name is Jami Jo, and I'm here to make your nose happy.